Thank you so much. Now, I'll just like to introduce our next speaker. I'm just going to invite Mrs. Mamta Kochar. Mamta migrated to Australia from India 18 years ago along with her husband and 2 sons for a better future for her sons. She's a physics teacher by profession. She changed gears and found a job in the Adult Migrant English program, which she terms is her calling. Her work with migrants led her to seek better ways to serve them, and she trained as a life coach with Anthony Robbins in 2014, as she felt a need to learn how to help migrants with mindset training and goal setting. Today, Mamta is an advanced skills lecturer in South Metropolitan TAFE and also the founding president of United in Diversity, a not-for-profit organization that works to help migrants and refugees integrate into the community so that we can have an even more cohesive, thriving community. Mamta has undertaken a wide range of volunteer roles with organizations such as Ethnic Communities Council, Curtin University, Youth Focus, and the Chinmaya Mission. Please welcome with a round of applause, Mrs. Mamta Kochar.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land that we are meeting on, the Whadjuk peoples, and I acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and contributions they make to the life in this region. I intend for this presentation to be very short and succinct. It's a very important topic, and I think that we all need to look at it because of these 2 important people that are on the screen right now, if you have a look. Unfortunately, it takes people to draw our attention to the things that are of importance. But I'd like to start by thanking Iswa and thanking Nari for this time that I have to speak on. And my approach today to empowerment through healthy relationships is going to be to look for a solution-oriented approach to the important topic that these 2 women, Rosie Batty and Hannah Clark, have highlighted in our community. And as thousands lose their lives all over Australia and also in Western Australia to family and domestic violence, I just think that it is important for us to just talk about this issue and see what we can do about it as a community. Now, the main sources for this presentation today, I would like to acknowledge are Channel 9 News, the Ombudsman report, Ombudsman WA report, that was done on the issues around violence restraining orders, and the link between the issues in the violence restraining orders and the reporting of family and domestic violence. So I've taken a lot of the sources from this report and these sources, and also the Department of Communities, I'd like to say. Now, if you look at the graph that is on your screens right now, it is very important to me personally, because I came to Australia in 2002. And if you look at that graph, between 2005 and 2013, you can't see it? People can't see it. Okay, I'll just continue so that if that graph was on the screen, then we would see that. It's a WA police. I did. Okay. Sorry, I'm technically handicapped sometimes. So that graph now that is on the screen is a WA police graph, and if you look at between 2005 and 2013, the number of family and domestic violence cases that have been reported is more than double. Now, during this time, the population of WA has also increased, but it has only increased by 500,000 people. So that sort of speaks to the scale of the problem. And again, from that report, I have got some groups that experience higher rates of family and domestic violence. And I would like to particularly draw your attention to the second point. So the Aboriginal people are on the first. point, then people from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds. That is who, people like us and asylum seekers and people on 457 visa, anybody who comes from a non-English speaking background, that is in that group. And then it also includes the LGBTIQ people and women with disabilities. Now, obviously, my interest here coming from United in Diversity, which is an organization that has got people from different ethnicities, when I can get my words out properly, language groups and religions. My interest is in the second point, which is people from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds. Now, the report also highlights the reasons for higher, rate of family and domestic violence cases among in the increase in the number of cases. There are some reasons on the screen, but I think one of the reasons for higher rate among culturally and linguistically diverse communities is the lack of family ties and the lack of family support and social isolation. So those are the 3 points that we are trying to address within United in Diversity so that we can have a community where there is empowerment among people, there is no power struggle, because I think the moment every individual starts to be empowered, thank you, then we will not have a power struggle, we'll have that equality that we talk about so that people can be healthy in their interactions and there's no violence. So that's the point that I'd like to speak to. Now, the report also looked at the reason why the number of family and domestic violence reports from the culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds are less. So there are lesser number of reports that are being done, and one of the important points that we're trying to address is that people have a perception that the services that are available in the community, they will not understand their situation because it's a different culture, it's a different cultural perspective, and luckily the government has also listened to those concerns of the community, and they have actually begun to address it. So the way that it has been addressed is that the Ishar Multicultural Women's Health Center, and Champo is here today on a stall by Ishar, and they have been appointed as the people who will provide culturally appropriate family and domestic violence services to the CALD community, along with the Langford Aboriginal Association that provide the same services to the Aboriginal community. So that's a really positive step in the direction of addressing the family and domestic violence by the government. However, we as a community need to be very proactive. So my work through South Metropolitan TAFE is with migrants and refugees, teaching them English. So 2 years ago when I founded United in Diversity, one of the things that we wanted to do was to bring about social cohesion through making people participate and contribute in all the issues that face culturally and linguistically diverse communities. So we have got presently collaborations with South Metropolitan TAFE, which is my workplace, and I'm actually the Family and Domestic Violence Contact Support Officer. This year, I've taken on that role voluntarily. And also our collaboration with Ishar and the Ethnic Communities Council of WA and organizations such as ASSETS means that we are proactive in the community to address these issues. And I'd like to introduce very proudly to you our current president of United in Diversity, Neelam. Neelam is a young migrant herself, and she is a provisional counselor at the moment. And I'm very proud to hand over United in Diversity to Neelam because Neelam is also involved with me on the Assets Safe program. So she's very passionate about women's issues, about family domestic violence issues. So that's where United in Diversity is working towards. Unfortunately, we don't have time for Neelam to talk about, but I just wanted to share with you the fact that the vision and mission of organizations such as United in Diversity is to work with organizations such as Ishar or Assets or South Metropolitan TAFE or Ethnic Communities Council of WA or ISWA for that matter, and address the important issues that are in our community so that we can have healthy relationships, which is then the cause or the foundation, I would say, for an empowered community. I have to say before I leave, and I've got 1 minute, so I'm well within my time, very proud of myself, that we have 5 values in United in Diversity, and they are harmony, understanding, support, collaboration, and success. So I believe that success is a measure of the amount of collaboration that you can have in your community through engagement. So if you would like to have a chat with me, because this is not in the scope of this presentation to have question and answer session, but if you'd like to have a chat with myself or with Neelam, you are most welcome to contact. I'll hang around for maybe about 15 or 20 minutes more, and so you're most welcome to have a chat with me. But I'm really grateful to ISWA and Nari for this time, and I thank you very much for your attention, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your program.